Hey man, before we even talk about how to deal with manipulation, you first have to understand what it actually feels like. Because most men don't recognize manipulation when it's happening. They only feel the confusion, the guilt, the emotional weight pressing on their chest after every conversation. Manipulation doesn't always come wrapped in lies. It often comes disguised as affection, concern, or vulnerability. She'll make you feel like you're wrong for wanting space, selfish for setting boundaries, ungrateful for not giving more. That's how she takes control, not through force, but through emotional framing. And the reason most men fall for it is because we're wired to protect, to fix, to provide emotional safety. When a woman senses that instinct, she can use it as a weapon. The moment you start defending yourself instead of observing her patterns, she knows she's inside your head. That's where manipulation begins, not in her words, but in your reactions. The first step in dealing with manipulation is emotional neutrality. You must stop giving her the satisfaction of seeing what affects you. Women manipulate emotionally because they want to feel your reaction, your frustration, your need to explain, your fear of losing them. That emotional feedback gives them leverage. It tells them how deeply they can influence you. The more reactive you are, the more she controls the rhythm of the connection. So when you sense her twisting the truth, playing the victim, or guilt-tripping you, don't argue, don't defend, don't explain yourself. Stay centered, stay calm, say less, let the silence do the talking. Because nothing disarms a manipulative person faster than emotional stillness. When she can't read your emotional temperature, she loses control of the game entirely. A manipulative woman's greatest strength lies in your need for clarity. You crave honesty, but she thrives in confusion. That's why she keeps you uncertain. Through mixed signals, half-truths, emotional, hot and cold behavior. It keeps you chasing understanding, trying to decode what went wrong. But here's the truth. She knows exactly what she's doing. Confusion is the cage, and your overthinking is the lock. So stop trying to understand her logic and start observing her patterns. Patterns reveal truth far louder than words ever will. If she only shows affection when you pull away, if she becomes defensive every time you ask direct questions, if she invalidates your emotions but magnifies hers, you're dealing with manipulation. Your power lies in noticing without reacting. Once you see the pattern, you can't be trapped by it anymore. The reason female manipulation works so well is because it operates beneath the surface, through guilt, shame, and fear of disconnection. Women know that men fear emotional withdrawal. They know silence, disappointment, and tears can make even the strongest man compromise his boundaries. That's why she doesn't have to shout or threaten. All she has to do is withdraw her warmth. Suddenly, you find yourself apologizing just to bring back that softness, even if you weren't wrong. This is where most men lose themselves. You can't negotiate peace with someone who's using emotions as leverage. You must train yourself to sit in discomfort, to allow silence, to not rush to fix what she intentionally broke. Because every time you chase her emotional approval, you teach her that manipulation works. And once she learns that, she'll use it forever. Dealing with manipulation requires a different kind of strength, not physical, but psychological endurance. You need to hold your frame, even when your instincts scream to react. Because when you do, you're not just protecting your peace, you're retraining her perception of you. A manipulative woman doesn't respect kindness. She respects consistency. The moment she sees that her emotional tricks no longer sway you, her behavior starts to shift. She may test harder at first, pushing buttons, creating drama, withdrawing attention. That's normal. It's her ego fighting to regain control. But if you stay grounded, if you remain emotionally unbothered, she eventually realizes that her old tactics don't work anymore. And that's when the dynamic changes, when she begins to relate to you, not as an emotional puppet, but as a man with unshakable self-control. You can't fight manipulation with manipulation, you fight it with awareness. The more conscious you become of your emotions, the less she can weaponize them. Start paying attention to your internal reactions, that sudden anxiety when she pulls away, that urge to defend yourself when she accuses you, that guilt when she says you've changed. Each of those reactions is an opening she can exploit. Instead of reacting, observe. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, why does this trigger me? Awareness turns manipulation into a mirror. It shows you where you still lack control. And once you master your inner reactions, her outer tactics lose all their power. You become emotionally invisible to manipulation because you've learned to separate stimulus from response. Another key to neutralizing manipulation is detachment from outcome. Most men are easily manipulated because they want something: her love, her approval, her validation. That desire becomes the handle she grabs to steer you. The less attached you are, the less leverage she has. You must be willing to lose her to keep yourself. The moment she senses that you're okay with walking away, her entire psychological strategy collapses. Manipulators feed off fear, the fear of loss, rejection, or abandonment. When you remove that fear from your system, you become impossible to manipulate, because now, your peace is not tied to her behavior. She can love you or leave you, praise you or ignore you, but none of it touches your inner balance. That's the real definition of strength. You'll also notice that a manipulative woman often creates chaos, then plays the victim to escape accountability. She'll accuse you of being distant when she's the one withdrawing, claim you're cold when she's the one testing you, or say you're emotionally unavailable because you stopped reacting. This is projection, and it's designed to make you doubt your perception. Don't fall for it. Calmly mirror her actions instead of defending yourself. If she withdraws, you match her silence. If she plays distant, you focus on your life. If she complains that you've changed, tell her growth requires change. You don't match her emotional games, you neutralize them through stillness. Because when a woman realizes that you no longer respond to guilt, her control dissolves. And the moment she loses control, she either transforms or leaves. Either way, you win. To deal with manipulation effectively, you must redefine what power looks like. Most men think power is dominance, raising your voice, standing your ground, asserting control. But in emotional dynamics, power is non-reaction. Power is staying calm when she expects chaos. Power is choosing silence when she expects an argument. Power is walking away when she expects you to beg. That's how you shift the entire emotional field. Because women don't respect words, they respect emotional reality. When she sees that your peace doesn't depend on her approval, it forces her to face herself. And for a manipulative woman, self-reflection is the most uncomfortable place to be. You don't have to win the argument, you win by refusing to enter the emotional battlefield in the first place. Lastly, dealing with female manipulation isn't about becoming bitter or avoiding women altogether. It's about learning emotional discernment. There are good women out there, but even good women test, probe, and challenge men emotionally. The difference is intent. A mature woman tests to confirm your strength. A manipulative woman tests to exploit your weakness. Your job is to recognize which one you're dealing with, not by what she says, but by how you feel around her. Do you feel peace or pressure, clarity or confusion, empowerment or exhaustion? Your nervous system knows before your mind does. Learn to listen to that feeling. It will tell you everything you need to know. Because the moment you honor your own intuition over her narrative, that's the moment you reclaim your power completely. The deeper you go into understanding female manipulation, the more you realize it's never about love, it's about control disguised as connection. The manipulative woman doesn't want to lose you, but she doesn't want you to feel free either. She wants access to your emotional energy without accountability for how she uses it. That's why she creates cycles: affection, withdrawal, guilt, then affection again. Each phase resets your emotional dependency, keeping you hooked on the possibility of love instead of the reality of it. To break this cycle, you have to stop chasing emotional highs and start valuing emotional peace. The less you crave her warmth after she's cold, the less control she has, because her entire power structure depends on your willingness to react. Once you stop reacting, the manipulation starves and dies. One of the most effective forms of manipulation women use is future faking. She paints a vision of tomorrow that keeps you compliant today. She'll talk about marriage, vacations, or building a life together, not because she's ready for it, but because she knows those words calm you. They make you believe that her current distance is temporary, that she still sees you as part of her long-term plan. But if her actions don't align with those promises, you must treat them as fiction. Emotional manipulators sell dreams to distract you from reality. The way you deal with it, detach your attention from promises and anchor it to patterns. Look at consistency, not intensity. A woman who truly values you doesn't need to make promises. Her actions quietly confirm her intent. Another dangerous manipulation tactic is emotional baiting. She'll provoke you with subtle disrespect, interrupting, belittling, ignoring, comparing, just to make you react. Once you lose composure, she flips the narrative and calls you angry or toxic. Now she's the victim and you're the aggressor. This is emotional jiu-jitsu. She wins by using your own emotions against you. That's why the strongest defense is composure. Never argue with a woman who's baiting you. She's not looking for truth, she's looking for control. Walk away, or better yet, stay quiet. Nothing frustrates a manipulator more than a man who doesn't take the bait, because silence forces her to sit in her own chaos without an emotional outlet to feed off. That's when her mask starts to crack. Let's talk about the manipulation of guilt, one of the most powerful emotional tools used against men who care deeply. She'll say things like, "You've changed," or "You don't love me the same anymore." Knowing those phrases cut deep. What she's really saying is, "You're no longer giving me the same control I once had." Guilt manipulation works only when you confuse peace with neglect. She'll try to convince you that setting boundaries means you're being cold or selfish, but boundaries aren't cruelty, they're clarity. They're the framework that separates self-respect from self-sacrifice. The next time she uses guilt to pull you back into submission, remember this: love without boundaries isn't love, it's emotional slavery. Some manipulative women use inconsistency as their favorite weapon. One day she's sweet, loving, affectionate, the next distant and cold. That contrast keeps you off balance. It makes you crave the version of her that once felt safe. But here's the hard truth: that version was a strategy, not sincerity. She gave you warmth at the start to secure emotional loyalty, then replaced it with withdrawal to create dependence. The goal isn't love, it's control. Once you understand this, you stop chasing her good days. You realize that inconsistency is her communication. The more you chase her mood swings, the more power she gains. But when you stay centered, when your peace doesn't rise or fall with her emotions, she loses her grip on your psychology. The most subtle manipulation is projection. This happens when she accuses you of doing the very thing she's guilty of: lying, pulling away, being selfish, talking to others. It's not coincidence, it's a psychological defense mechanism. By projecting her flaws onto you, she avoids accountability and keeps you on the defensive. You spend your time explaining instead of observing. The way to dismantle projection is to stop justifying. Don't argue, don't defend. Just say, "I understand that's how you feel," and let the silence hang. It exposes her manipulation because it denies her the emotional fuel of your reaction. She'll start realizing that her accusations no longer work, and once projection fails, she's forced to confront herself, which most manipulators can't handle for long. Many men fall for manipulation because they believe love should hurt. They confuse emotional turbulence with passion, thinking that chaos is proof of depth. But that's conditioning, not truth. Healthy connection feels calm, not addictive. Manipulative women exploit that conditioning. They know that men who crave intensity will overlook disrespect as long as it feels emotionally charged. You must unlearn that pattern. You have to start associating peace with love, not boredom. Because the moment you start preferring calm over chaos, you become immune to manipulation. The manipulator will call you cold or detached. But what she really means is, she can't reach you anymore. You've evolved past emotional bait. To deal with manipulation long term, you have to become a mirror, not a sponge. Don't absorb her emotions, reflect them. When she's distant, you become calm. When she's dramatic, you stay neutral. When she's disrespectful, you withdraw politely. You never lower your energy to match chaos. You maintain your composure to expose it. This isn't about punishment, it's about preservation. The more you mirror instead of absorb, the faster her manipulation collapses. Because manipulators need reaction like fire needs oxygen. Without your emotional engagement, the flame dies quietly. And when it does, you'll notice something powerful. Peace returns almost instantly. That's the reward for emotional discipline. Sometimes manipulation is disguised as empathy. She'll use vulnerability to control you, crying when confronted, sharing sad stories to gain sympathy, or pretending to be broken so you lower your boundaries. Be careful with this one, because empathy is every good man's weakness. Your compassion makes you predictable. The way to counter emotional sympathy traps is through rational empathy, not blind rescue. You can feel compassion without taking responsibility for someone's healing. You can care without compromising. That balance is what separates mature men from emotional caretakers. You're not cold for refusing to fix someone who manipulates through weakness. You're wise for protecting your own energy. As you master emotional control, you'll begin to see a strange shift. Manipulators start avoiding you. They can sense it. Your silence makes them uncomfortable. Your detachment makes them powerless. Your awareness makes them transparent. They'll test once, maybe twice, then move on to someone easier to control. Don't take it personally. It's confirmation that your energy no longer feeds toxicity. The men who remain easily manipulated are those still seeking approval. But when your self-worth becomes self-generated, manipulation dies the moment it touches you. You've become a fortress, calm on the outside, impenetrable on the inside. You don't fight back. You simply stop being available for emotional games. That's not indifference, that's mastery. Once you've learned to spot manipulation, the next phase is psychological reversal, turning her games into mirrors that expose her own tactics. This doesn't mean you start playing mind games, it means you allow her behavior to bounce back and reveal itself. For instance, if she tries to create jealousy by mentioning other men, don't question her or show emotion. Simply nod, smile faintly, and continue with your day. That calmness disarms her entirely because she expected chaos. Manipulators thrive on attention, even negative attention. It validates their control. But when you give them nothing, they spiral into confusion. That's when the mask slips and the emotional cracks start to show. She'll suddenly become sweet, confused, or sorry. That's not remorse, it's recalibration. She's just realizing her tactics don't work on a man who doesn't play. When you stop feeding into manipulation, something profound happens. She's forced to experience her own emotional void without using you to fill it. Manipulative women often create chaos because it distracts them from their inner emptiness. When you withdraw your energy, you take away her favorite drug, reaction, and that withdrawal feels like punishment to her ego. She'll start testing you more aggressively, trying to provoke even a hint of anger or insecurity. But your job is to stay completely unaffected. The moment she realizes you no longer exist in her emotional dimension, she begins to crumble. She'll try to re-engage with tears, affection, or nostalgia. Stay composed. You're not being cruel. You're letting her confront the consequences of her own manipulation. A manipulative woman fears one thing above all else: exposure. She can handle arguments, insults, and even rejection. But what she can't handle is being seen clearly. When you calmly call out her behavior without emotion, it paralyzes her. For example, saying something like, "You seem to create conflict whenever I stop chasing," destroys her entire strategy, because now you've made the subconscious conscious. She's been revealed. Manipulators operate in the shadows of your uncertainty. Once the light of awareness hits, they lose power. That's why calm confrontation, not emotional explosion, is the ultimate response. You're not trying to win a fight, you're showing her that you're not a pawn in her emotional chessboard anymore. It's also important to understand that manipulation doesn't end when the relationship ends. Sometimes, the most powerful manipulative phase begins after the breakup. She might suddenly text you with nostalgia, appear in your stories, or send mutual friends messages about how much she misses you. This isn't love, it's control seeking. She wants to see if she can still pull emotional strings from a distance. Every time you respond, you reset her power over you. So when you decide to go no contact, mean it. Not as a tactic to make her chase, but as a commitment to your peace. The longer your silence lasts, the louder her regret grows, not because she's lost love, but because she's lost influence. That's the real pain manipulative women feel when you walk away. Dealing with female manipulation is like detoxing from emotional addiction. You'll feel withdrawal symptoms at first, the urge to check her profile, to explain yourself, to prove your side of the story. That's not love, that's trauma, bonding. You became addicted to the cycle of chaos and calm. The only cure is time, discipline, and perspective. When you stop reacting, her manipulation loses its audience. You begin to see clearly how much energy you wasted trying to fix something that was designed to confuse you. Eventually, peace starts feeling normal again, and that's when you realize you were never losing her. You were shedding control disguised as love. A high-value man doesn't respond to manipulation because he understands something deeper. Power doesn't need proof. The man who constantly explains himself is weak because he seeks validation through logic in an emotional game. You can't reason with manipulation, you can only outgrow it. So stop trying to make her understand you. Let her misunderstand you in peace. Let her twist your silence into whatever story she needs to tell herself, because the truth doesn't need defending. The more you stay grounded in your actions, the more reality reveals itself over time. Women may lie about what happened, but they can't lie about how they feel when they lose control of a man they once manipulated. That's the quiet revenge. Peace louder than words. You'll notice too, that once you break free from manipulation, your entire energy changes. You stop chasing attention, stop explaining your value, and stop reacting to emotional tests. That calm energy unnerves manipulative women. They sense you're different, not detached, but self-contained. It's the kind of calm that can't be shaken, and it's magnetic. Ironically, once you master emotional discipline, even manipulative women start craving your approval. But by then, you've evolved past needing validation. You've become what every man should be, emotionally sovereign. That's the point where power returns to you, not because you dominated anyone, but because you stopped being ruled by emotion. Here's a truth. Most men never realize manipulation only thrives when you fear losing love. The moment you stop fearing loss, you gain control over everything. She can pull away, flirt with others, or disappear entirely. And instead of breaking down, you observe it like a scientist watching human behavior. That's emotional mastery. You stop asking why is she doing this and start thinking what is this revealing about her character. That shift in perspective transforms confusion into clarity, and clarity is the death of manipulation, because manipulation needs confusion like a parasite needs a host. When you remove emotional chaos, the parasite starves. Eventually, every manipulative woman meets a man who's too calm to control, and that man's silence breaks her far more than anger ever could. When she realizes that her tears no longer move you, that her distance no longer provokes you, that her charm no longer distracts you, she begins to face herself. That's the moment her illusion collapses, because her power was never real, it was borrowed from your emotional reactions. The moment you take that power back, she sees her reflection in your calm. And for the first time, she realizes she can't play games with a man who doesn't need her approval to feel whole. In the end, dealing with female manipulation isn't about revenge or proving a point, it's about evolution. You're not supposed to harden your heart, you're supposed to strengthen your discernment. You stop falling for potential and start valuing consistency. You stop mistaking attention for affection and chaos for chemistry. The manipulative woman teaches you something priceless, that emotional control is freedom. Once you master it, you don't just protect yourself from toxic women, you attract peace, depth, and authenticity into every part of your life. Because the man who can't be manipulated isn't just strong, he's untouchable. And that's the kind of man she'll never forget, because deep down she knows she'll never control one like you again. As time passes and your silence stretches on, something shifts inside her, not immediately, but gradually, almost imperceptibly at first. The manipulative woman who once felt powerful begins to experience a strange discomfort she can't name. You see, her control over you was never about love. It was about knowing that she could still make you move emotionally. When you no longer move, she no longer matters in the same way she once did, and that terrifies her. Her ego starts to whisper, why isn't he reacting? Did he stop caring? Has he found peace without me? That uncertainty eats at her. She scrolls through your photos, looks at old messages, replays the moments where she once had you hooked, but now the energy feels different. The silence she thought would punish you starts echoing back at her. It becomes a mirror showing her how dependent she was on your attention. That's the quiet power of walking away without noise. It forces her to sit with the emptiness she tried to fill by controlling you. What she doesn't understand, and what most women like her never do, is that manipulation can never survive in the presence of genuine detachment, because detachment isn't revenge, it's emotional evolution. When you no longer respond to her games, she realizes she's not in a competition anymore. She's in a memory, and memories can't be controlled. That's what haunts her, Not the loss of love, but the loss of power. You've transcended the need to prove anything, and that makes her invisible in the only way that matters, emotionally. She can still post, still pretend, still smile for the world, but every time she checks her phone and sees nothing from you, she feels that invisible ache that manipulation can't fix. Because deep down, she knows you've moved from being reactive to reflective. And reflection is a place she can't reach, because it requires self-awareness, something manipulation was always designed to avoid. There comes a moment when she'll try to return, not because she's changed, but because she misses the feeling of being significant. She'll test your boundaries subtly, a casual message, a nostalgic comment, a "hey, I was just thinking about you." But if you look closely, it's never about genuine connection, it's about checking whether her control still works. The test isn't in what she says, it's in how you respond. Most men fail here. They mistake her message for closure or affection, but it's actually a measurement. She's testing your evolution. If you respond with warmth, she knows she still has influence. If you respond with silence, she feels something far more painful than rejection. She feels irrelevance. That's the punishment her own games created. Because once a man detaches emotionally, there's no path back that doesn't require accountability. And manipulators don't do accountability, they do nostalgia and excuses. You can't build anything real from that. But let's look deeper into her mind. The manipulative woman doesn't truly understand why she behaves this way. She's not always evil, she's reactive. Her control tactics come from fear. Fear of abandonment, fear of losing validation, fear of feeling unworthy. Manipulation is her survival mechanism. It's how she keeps people close without risking vulnerability. That's why she's drawn to emotionally generous men. They feed the validation she's too insecure to generate on her own. When you detach, you're not just breaking contact, you're breaking her emotional dependency cycle. And that's why she often spirals after losing a man she can't manipulate. Not because she loved him, but because he represented emotional control that no longer works. It's like an addict losing access to their drug. Withdrawal begins. The silence becomes her detox, and for the first time she has to face herself without distraction. The silence you give her isn't cruelty, it's accountability. You're not punishing her, you're just refusing to participate in her self-deception, and that's something no manipulative woman is prepared for. She can argue with words, she can guilt-trip emotions, but she can't fight the reflection of her own actions in the emptiness of your response. Over time, she'll start questioning everything. Was I too harsh? Did I push him too far? Did he ever really love me? But these aren't questions born out of love, they're born out of ego collapse. You see, manipulation was never meant to end in silence. It was meant to end with you breaking, explaining, or begging. But when you don't, when you stay grounded, calm, and completely unfazed, you rewrite the narrative she's used her whole life to feel powerful. You become the first man who taught her that her games have limits. And this is where something deeper happens. Her mind begins to rewrite history. She starts remembering things differently, casting herself as the victim in a story she authored. She'll tell herself that you were cold, distant, emotionally unavailable. Not because it's true, but because it helps her preserve pride. Manipulative people rewrite the past to avoid the pain of accountability. But here's where your strength matters. You must resist the temptation to correct her narrative. Let her believe what she needs to. The truth doesn't need your defense. Your growth, your peace, your silence, that's the evidence. Over time, the truth always surfaces, and when it does, it won't be through arguments, it'll be through contrast. The difference between how she treated you and how others start treating her. That's the consequence. She can't manipulate away. Eventually, she'll encounter another man, someone new, and at first it'll seem like she's fine, happy even. But soon, she'll realize that something's missing. That emotional control she once had doesn't land the same way. The new man doesn't react like you did, or worse, he doesn't care at all. She'll start to see the shadow of your discipline in every calm response she doesn't get. You've set a new emotional standard in her subconscious, one that she can't forget. Every argument, every attempt at control, every manipulative pattern she tries to repeat will remind her of the one man who didn't bend. That's what real impact looks like. Not revenge, not bitterness, just an unspoken reminder that strength leaves a permanent imprint. Once a woman has seen a man who can't be emotionally moved, every other man feels replaceable, because true emotional mastery makes you unforgettable. At this point, you start to realize something powerful. You never needed to win the battle. You only needed to stop playing. Because manipulation isn't defeated by confrontation, it's dissolved by indifference. When you no longer need to be understood, loved, or validated by someone who plays games, you step out of the arena completely. That's when your peace becomes the loudest statement of all. You stop needing closure, stop waiting for apologies, and stop seeking fairness. You understand that life itself gives people what they give others, just not always when they expect it. The emotional imbalance she created in you now returns to her in her next relationships. That's how the universe keeps score. Not through karma as punishment, but as reflection. She'll finally feel what it's like to chase peace she once took for granted. The longer you stay grounded, the more your energy transforms. You begin to attract differently, calmer women, deeper connections, more peaceful experiences, because energy doesn't lie, it reflects what you've healed. Manipulative women thrive on unhealed men, those still looking for validation or emotional rescue. But once you face manipulation and risen above it, you stop attracting chaos altogether. You stop tolerating breadcrumbs disguised as love. You start leading with self-respect, not need. And women who can't manipulate you will either grow to match your energy or leave your space entirely. That's evolution, not of ego, but of consciousness. You've gone from chasing attention to commanding peace, and peace, once you've tasted it, is something you'll never trade again. So how do you truly deal with female manipulation? By realizing that it's never about her, it's about your growth. Every manipulative woman you encounter is an opportunity to refine your emotional discipline, to strengthen your boundaries, to understand the difference between love and control. You don't hate her for it, you thank her silently. Because without her games, you wouldn't have discovered your depth. The manipulation was the test, your self-control was the lesson, and the man who learns that lesson becomes unshakable. He doesn't chase, doesn't react, doesn't explain. He simply observes, decides, and walks away when peace demands it. That's the highest form of power a man can hold, quiet, unbothered, and deeply self-assured. Because in a world full of manipulation, the man who remains still is the one who truly wins. In the quiet aftermath of your detachment, something shifts within you, something irreversible. It's not arrogance or bitterness, it's understanding. You begin to see manipulation not as a personal attack, but as emotional immaturity disguised as strategy. You stop seeing women as enemies to outsmart and start seeing patterns to outgrow. That's when you truly transcend the cycle. Because emotional power doesn't come from knowing how to win against manipulation, it comes from no longer needing to participate in it. The next time a woman tries to pull you into that emotional maze, the mixed signals, the guilt trips, the sudden withdrawals, you'll see it immediately. But instead of reacting, you'll smile internally. You'll see it for what it is, desperation hidden behind performance. You'll understand that manipulation is a symptom of weakness, and your calm is the cure. And this is where regret truly begins to consume her. Because as you grow calmer, more centered, more detached, she starts seeing the full contrast between you and the chaos she now lives in. Every man she meets after you will reflect the consequences of her manipulation. Some will ignore her, others will play her own games against her, and a few will expose her flaws in harsher ways. But none will offer the calm confidence you did. She'll scroll through social media and see you at peace, focused, unbothered. Not posting for validation, not chasing closure, not explaining your worth. And in that silence, she'll feel something deeper than pain, irrelevance. Because the one thing a manipulative woman can never accept is being forgotten by the man who once made her feel powerful. That's her true punishment, not your anger, but your peace. As the months pass, you'll notice that your standards naturally rise. You stop being impressed by beauty alone. Stop falling for charm without depth. Stop confusing attention for affection. You start seeing through masks before they fully form. The games that once captivated you now bore you. You begin to crave silence more than validation, honesty more than excitement, peace more than passion. This is what growth feels like. Not loud, not dramatic, but steady. You no longer seek intensity because you've learned that intensity without stability is manipulation in disguise. Now, when you meet a woman, you don't chase, you observe. You don't invest early, you test consistency, you let time reveal who's real, and that patience becomes your power, because manipulation needs urgency, but real connection thrives in slowness. She, on the other hand, begins to live in emotional flashbacks. Every time she tries to control someone new, and it backfires, her mind drifts to you. Not because she misses you romantically, but because you represented something she couldn't destroy, emotional control, and that haunts her. You see, manipulators crave power, but what they respect is strength. When she realizes she lost a man who had both, it becomes a wound that never fully heals. She'll date others, post smiles, pretend she's thriving, but beneath the surface there's always comparison. Every man who reacts too quickly reminds her of how rare your restraint was. Every argument reminds her of how composed you stayed. Every loss reminds her of how you left, calmly, without warning, without hate. That image, that silence becomes her ghost. You didn't just walk away, you became the benchmark. But let's be clear, your goal was never to make her regret losing you. Your goal was to find yourself again, to reclaim your peace, your clarity, your purpose. The regret is just a side effect of your healing. Because the truth is, once you stop letting women manipulate you, you stop needing them to validate you. You start operating from abundance instead of scarcity. You realize there are countless women out there, but there's only one you. And when you protect that energy, everything changes. You start attracting people who respect your boundaries instead of testing them. You start building relationships that feel peaceful instead of performative. That's when you finally understand, love isn't something you chase, it's something that aligns with your self-respect. And self-respect, once established, never negotiates with manipulation again. At this point, even your silence becomes magnetic. People sense it, they notice how you carry yourself differently, how you no longer need to prove, persuade, or perform. That calm, quiet confidence draws a different kind of attention. Not the fleeting kind that manipulation feeds on, but the deep kind that respect is built upon. Women start treating you differently, not because you've changed physically, but because your energy has matured. You've become the type of man who doesn't chase, he attracts. The type of man who doesn't react, he observes. The type of man who doesn't explain, he simply acts. This energy commands presence. Because in a world where everyone's desperate to be seen, the man who's perfectly fine being unseen becomes irresistible. You've become that man, grounded, controlled, untouchable. Meanwhile, the woman who once thought she could manipulate you will eventually face her own breaking point. Maybe it happens when her tactics stop working on anyone else. Maybe it's when she realizes that every relationship she touches turns chaotic. Every man she dates leaves faster than the last. Or maybe it's simply when she wakes up one morning, checks her phone, and feels nothing coming from you. No texts, no glances, no presence, just silence. That's when it truly hits her. Not the breakup, not the loss, but the realization that the control she thought she had was never real. That's when she finally understands the difference between love and manipulation. But by then, it's too late, because you've already moved on from needing to be understood by someone who only knew how to use your emotions against you. You see, when you rise above manipulation, you don't just heal, you evolve. You stop reacting to temporary emotions and start responding from permanent principles. You stop seeking approval and start creating peace. You stop proving your worth and start living it quietly. And that's when life itself begins to shift. Opportunities come more naturally. You attract deeper friendships, healthier connections, and moments that actually nourish you. The chaos that once felt normal now feels foreign. Because the truth is, manipulation only finds its way into the lives of men who haven't yet mastered their emotions. Once you do, once you become the calm in every storm, manipulation can't survive in your world anymore. You've become too emotionally expensive for games that cheap. Eventually, you'll look back and realize that what once broke you was actually what built you. Every lie, every mind game, every guilt trip, it all forged your discipline. The pain of being manipulated taught you the beauty of clarity. The chaos of losing control taught you the peace of staying centered. The heartbreak of her leaving taught you the strength of letting go. It's ironic. She thought she was teaching you a lesson in love, but she ended up teaching you a lesson in self-mastery. Now, when you look at her or anyone like her, there's no hate, only gratitude, because you've seen through the illusion. You understand now that love built on manipulation isn't love at all, it's dependency dressed as desire. And once you've tasted freedom from that, you never settle for less again. In the end, the greatest revenge isn't silence, isn't success, and it isn't indifference, it's genuine peace. The kind that doesn't need validation, doesn't crave understanding, doesn't seek closure. The kind that looks at manipulation and smiles because you've outgrown the need to play. You've become what every manipulative woman fears, a man who can't be emotionally moved, guilted, or controlled. A man who chooses clarity over chaos, peace over passion, and purpose over approval. That's real power. Not dominance over others, but mastery over self. So the next time someone tries to manipulate you, don't argue, don't explain, don't fight, just stand still. Because your silence, backed by self-respect, speaks louder than any defense ever could. And that silence, that stillness, is the sound of freedom.